Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
It's Friday, Andy.
No hello. It's been such a week. I can't even say hi.
It's Friday, Andy. You know what that means, Andy? You know what it
You know
means?
what? I hope it means mailbag.
Mailbag. I love it. I love it. I'm so excited. I don't know what to
Mailbag,
say.
baby.
Mailbag.
So good.
I can't
So
wait
good.
till America change. I'm sorry. I apologize. America. I can't wait till America changes the name of Friday to Mailbag Day. I think
Right?
that's when. Until
coming.
that day, my job is not done.
That's true. That's
My
true.
work on this earth is not complete.
Not until that happens. Not until that happens.
I don't know where the word Friday came from, but it needs to change.
I don't know where Friday came from.
I just typed Friday into Google, and the first thing that popped up was the Rebecca Black YouTube video. Still popular enough to be top result.
Great.
Then Friday, the 1995 film.
I was going to say, how high up is that film? Because that it's worthy of being top 5, certainly. It just
Number
is.
3, TJI Fridays. And finally, number 4, Friday. The actual day, the Wikipedia day.
I know what it's for. It's for Thor's Day. It was named after Thor.
No, Andy, that's Thursday.
It was Odin's Day. Odin's Day.
No, that's Wednesday, Andy.
It was named after McDonald's fries.
I wish. Then I wouldn't want to change it. The name Friday comes from the Old English, meaning the day of frig. The day of frig, double G's, 2 G's. A result of an old convention associating the Old English goddess Frige, F-R-I-G-E, with the Roman goddess Venus, with whom the day is associated in many different cultures.
Fascinating. Okay.
It is. Okay, good. Let's move on to mailbags.
Venus's Day. It's the day of love.
It is. My darling, I can't get
and
enough
let's be honest, this is the day that Second Breakfast Nation shows their love for us by sending us mailbag questions.
True story. I guess. All right, let's shoot. Let's talk about this thing.
If you would like to have your question featured in a future Mailbag Friday, send them. Email your questions to secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com, and they also have to be good.
Yeah, well, it's funny you said that, because, here's the thing. A lot of people have said to me, I'd love to do a mailbag question. I just don't know if my questions are good enough, and so I don't. Listen, we'll be the judge of that.
Yes.
And the good news for you is if your question sucks, we're not going to tell anyone.
Right.
It's not like we're like, before we go on to my mailbag, let's stop and say,
right. Here are the questions we didn't use this week.
Right. Let us be the judge of if your questions are any good. Send us your questions, please.
Send them in.
Okay, so next.
And away we go. 3 fabulous questions for us this week, Phil. First, from now frequent and regular contributor and friend to the podcast, Damon. Hello, Damon.
Hi, Damon. By the way, Damon sent some snark my way during the week. I won't have it, Damon. Okay? So just enough with your silliness. Just enough.
I have to. Normally, I would circle the wagons in solidarity with you, Phil, but I have been delinquent and truant in getting myself to the Men's Warehouse to get my measurements taken for the outfit that I will be wearing in his wedding. So I gotta stick with my boy Damon, because I haven't done that yet.
All right.
Damon,
well,
I'm a terrible person.
Okay. I see the limits of our friendship. They are actually bigger than I thought they would be, but that's fine.
There you go. Damon's question. What current television show do you most want turned into a feature-length film? Shows with films already in the works, such as Arrested Development, are off the table. Mm-hmm. Now, this is interesting because Arrested Development isn't really in the works anymore, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. But it's just sort of in talks.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's just sort of in talks now because they have revived the series as a series on Netflix. But I think that might preclude, if we're using Arrested Development, I think that might also preclude Friday Night Lights from the discussion. Also, it's not a current TV show.
Well, but he mentions Veronica Mars, doesn't he?
No, I did when we were discussing it.
Okay.
But true, I'm taking Veronica Mars off the table as well.
Okay.
Although actually, even if it were a current show and even if we're still on the table, that would not be my answer.
Well, Andy, by all means, tell us what your answer is.
Shall I go first? I shall go first. My answer, Justified.
I knew you were going to say that.
It is, for those who are not watching it, and judging by its ratings, that's most of you, there is not a show on television right now that so deftly combines drama, thrilling excitement, and comedy better than Justified. It is laugh-out-loud funny, edge-of-your-seat exciting, every week. Every week. This season, I think it's just getting better as a TV show. And, for those who don't know, which again is probably most of you, it centers around a, shall we say, trigger-happy, although still very moral, U.S. Marshal. And the U.S. Marshals, chiefly what they do is investigate and pursue fugitives. Yes. I think this would lend itself very, very neatly to a 2-hour format, to a feature film length format. You just give Raylan, who also, if you've seen the movie Get Shorty or Be Cool, written by Elmore Leonard, Jackie Brown, you know that these characters are vivid, vibrant, and just flat out wonderful. And Raylan Givens is the lead in Justified, and he is as good as any of the characters in those movies. And Timothy Olyphant is wonderful in the role, and he's gotten kind of shortchanged in movies. He's had a successful television career. He was also the lead in Deadwood, which I have not seen, and I will get to as soon as I am able. But I think he was the best part of The Girl Next Door, which is saying something when you have Alicia Cuthbert in tight clothing. So, there's that.
You could have just said Alicia Cuthbert, because I'm pretty sure that's what she's always wearing.
You don't make a bad point. That's my answer. Justified.
It's a good answer.
Thanks.
Now, it's funny because it relates to what I think my answer would be, but I'm not sure it counts.
Okay.
Deadwood. And the reason I say Deadwood is because when they canceled Deadwood, the promise that was made to us as fans is that they would actually be making two feature-length movies on HBO, either for HBO or for wide release, but I think originally for HBO, to round up the series. And then guess what they never did? They never did make two feature-length. Deadwood is on record as my second favorite TV show of all time. Which sometimes I say is Friday Night Lights. It really just depends on the mood, but those two are my go-tos. Deadwood only lasted 3 seasons. It's now been how long? 7 years.
Nice. Okay.
Since it's been off the air.
All right.
But nevertheless, it's completely plausible that it's completely plausible that they could do it. They're not going to do it. It's completely plausible that they could. Everybody that's a major player is still around and alive. It has one of my 3 or 4 favorite characters of all time with Al Swearingen. And then it's got your friend and mine, Timothy Olyphant from Justified, in a cowboy hat. To the degree that when Justified first came out, I was like, oh, good, they put Timothy Olyphant back in a cowboy hat. I'll watch this. So I watched and got into Justified because of Deadwood. I don't know if that's an answer that will be acceptable to Damon, although when he mentioned Arrested Development, I was thinking, well, Arrested Development's been off the air for 7 years as well.
Sure.
Of course, they are bringing it back kind of through Netflix, whatever that is. So, fine. Well, I mean, it's not really television. I don't care what anyone says.
I agree with you.
So, that's my answer. It might not be a good answer. So, if that doesn't work, of shows that are on right now, are you ready for it?
Yeah.
A little show we like to call Justified. I am completely agreeing with Andy. for two reasons. One is because if I can't have Deadwood, I still want Timothy Olyphant and a cowboy hat. Two, I agree with everything Andy said. And ready for this? I have not seen one episode from this season yet. I have them all on my DVR, just waiting. And I've just been so busy, and I want to give the show love. And what happens is I'll go home and I'll watch The Voice or Project Runway because my brain I can't think. I just don't want to think. Mm-hmm. And the problem with Justified is it's good. It's so good that I want to make sure I give it energy and time.
Yes.
And I haven't been able to do that yet. So that would be my choice. I'm with you, Justified. I'm trying to be more original. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like when you go to a restaurant, and you and I both worked at restaurants, and you realize that we don't really care. But unless you go to the really snooty restaurants, if you go to a really snooty restaurant and you hand in the order to the chef, and it's like all four of them wanted the lobster, really? The chef gets kind of annoyed. It's like you didn't sell the food right. But at unless it's a super fancy place where I've worked, and they're really snooty. If it's not that kind of place, generally they don't care.
Sure.
You want to make four trout? I'll make 4 trout. Doesn't matter to me. It's just food. But if you've ever noticed this weird phenomenon when people go out to eat at a restaurant and they feel guilty about ordering the same thing?
Yes.
And I don't know why that is. Because when you're at home, everybody's eating meatloaf. It's not like, oh, you're having meatloaf? Well, then I'll have the, I'll have the salmon. What? Right. No. Like,
Mom, I'll have the squab this evening.
Right. So I think like there's this sense of when you go to places you're supposed to all eat different things. But like, So when you see Justified, I feel like I should have a different answer, but I totally don't. I would love to see a Justified movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Love it.
So good.
There. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Damon. Next question.
Indeed. Moving on from friend of the podcast, Vanessa. Hello, Vanessa.
Vanessa, hi.
What movies could you watch over and over again? Like, credits roll and you go right back and watch again. Go for it.
This is a trick question. It's a trick question.
Why is that?
I'll tell you why. Because Vanessa's husband, Michael, if that is your real name, Michael, he challenged... Can I tell the world about this yet?
Yes, but first, spoiler, it is his real name. Go ahead.
You don't know that.
Totally his real name.
Okay, you don't know that. Anyways, Wordna. All I know is, here's what I know. Vanessa's husband, Michael, challenged us and said, you should watch one movie on a 24-hour loop. The two of you should get together and watch one single movie on a 24-hour loop and then just talk about it. And then his wife just happens to ask us the question, what movie could you watch on a loop? I don't think so. And the thing is, you're thinking just because they're married doesn't mean they talk. And I'll tell you what, that's actually a good point. But this is a couple. They actually have conversations about things. So I don't buy it. I'm not playing your game. All right, but I'll answer the question.
We will not be your monkey. Go ahead.
Okay, Groundhog Day. I would watch Groundhog Day on a loop, which I think is beautiful because it's ironic.
Indeed.
Or coincidental. I think it's ironic. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's genius.
I think it's ironic. I could be wrong, though. Ever since the Alanis Morissette song, I honestly don't know anymore. I don't know.
I could watch... I mean, I know it's just easy to say Pulp Fiction, but it's true.
Sure.
Almost any Tarantino movie, but I'm going to go ahead and say, just for giggles, just to show you that I mean business, Jackie Brown.
Nice.
I could watch Jackie Brown on a loop.
Nice.
During Christmas, they show A Christmas Story on a loop, and I am perfectly obliged to watch it. I have no problem. I was, if you'll recall, some of you who are friends of mine on the Book of Face know that I have. There's a picture of me on Christmas Eve putting together a kitchenette set for my daughter, and I watched Christmas Story 2.5 times while putting it together. So there you go.
Awesome.
Those are my first 3 answers. Do you have any for me?
Do you have more? Because we can go back and forth
all day long. I could do this all day.
Right? So
you're basically asking You're basically asking 2 guys who would like nothing better than to sit on the couch and watch TV what they would sit on the couch and watch TV doing. I mean, it's really not.
So here's my question. Here's my sort of setup for my answer to this question. I am, as I have said in this podcast, my pretty much my sole criterion for will I buy a movie is, will I always be in the mood to watch it? And frankly, I'm pretty good at it. Like, I'm pretty good at thinking about it and deciding if that's true. I counted, because I have a spreadsheet of all of my movies in alphabetical order, because I'm that guy. I own 253 movies. Okay? I would say the number that is still true, I could watch it any time, probably north of 235.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
But on a loop, but it's not the same question. On a loop. Movie ends.
That's fair. That's fair. But in other words, I guess much like the question about our favorite line from last week, if you asked me this at a different time, I might have a completely different list. Yeah.
But I think it matters, Andy, because so let me give you an example, right? Like, you now own The Godfather.
Yep.
Well done, by the way.
Thank you.
The Godfather comes on. It plays. You watch the whole thing. It ends. It starts up again. Maybe not. Not because it's not amazing. Because you're like, I'm not ready to do that to me. I'm not ready.
No.
Which is why, like, I wouldn't pick Reservoir Dogs. I probably wouldn't do that with Inglourious. I might do that with Inglourious Bastards.
That's fair. That's fair. And you're absolutely right. I of course I see the distinction. But it is not black and white. It's white and slightly an eggshell, shall we say. Like, okay. They're in the same neighborhood, in other words. Here's my list. The Goonies. Groundhog Day. Inglourious Bastards.
Did you have that on your list?
Yeah. There it is. The worst movie on my list, but because of its structure, I could watch it if, shall we say, forced to. Love Actually. Not a good movie, but because it's so fragmented, I could watch it on a loop, and in fact have. This will probably never be tested because it's so long, but I think I could probably watch Lord of the Rings on a loop. I think I could.
Yeah, me too. If there was a Lord of the Rings channel, I would turn it on regularly.
Indeed. Midnight Run.
Andy, well played.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Do you notice what most of these have in common?
What are they? What is that?
Comedies.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
I would not put I would be very careful about putting a drama on this list for the reason that I stated above.
Yes, I don't think I have one. I don't think I have one drama.
Well, Lord of the Rings is a drama. It's not a comedy.
It's not a comedy, but yes, that's true. My Pixar section, WALL-E and Up, I could probably watch those on a loop. Shaun of the Dead, Singin' in the Rain, Wreck-It Ralph, and probably the second worst movie on this list, but one that I just unabashedly love because I laugh my butt off every time I watch it, Role Models.
Okay. Have you seen it? Fair. Oh, yeah, yes, absolutely. It's very fun to watch.
Yes.
Wet Hot American Summer should be on that list.
Nice.
Finding Nemo. Pixar movies you mentioned, and I've been watching them on. Apparently, I watch Beauty and the Beast on a loop now.
Sure.
Sure. I'm going to talk about an unheralded Pixar film.
Please do.
Toy Story 2.
Love it.
Toy Story 2, not discussed much. Toy Story was groundbreaking.
Yes.
And introduced the world to Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
Or as they say in France, Le Pixar. But, and then Toy Story 3 really is like the height of the form. I mean, Toy Story 3 I was watching with my daughter this morning, and just the flashback sequence of Lotso and the other two in the rain, like trudging away, like the way that the water and the light and the rain shimmers off of his, I mean, it's ridiculous what they're able to do. But the story itself, but it's so emotionally draining, I couldn't watch that over and over and over again. Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story 1, first of all. It just is. Mm-hmm. And secondly, you can watch it over and over again. It's so much fun. It's so much fun, I found out recently, rewatching it. But it gets lost in the mid-movie shuffle. but it deserves to, it's a really great second film.
I well done. I love that answer, and I agree with you.
I just had another realization, by the way.
Tell me.
Name another trilogy that gets better every single episode.
I don't know that I can.
One could make the argument for Lord of the Rings, though you feel that Two Towers is the weakest, but one could make the argument.
One could make the argument.
But one could make the argument otherwise. But I think Toy Story, it is very clearly Toy Story 3 is the best. Toy Story 2 is the second best, and that's not easy to say. Toy Story 1, Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
Yeah. You know when Chevy Chase ever used to make mistakes on Weekend Update when he was doing Saturday Night Live, he would just stop and go, Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat. And then he'd go back and start doing it again.
Nice. So. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with all parts of what you just said. I think I don't know that there is another trilogy. The Godfather.
Andy, I'll cut you. I'll cut you. It's small but painful.
But if there is one that it can be made, the argument can be made, I would say certainly the first one that comes to mind is Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Shall we move on?
Defy that, nation. Defy that. All right.
Yeah. How about you guys? Tell us in the comments what can you watch on an endless loop.
Thank you.
A totally valid answer is nothing because you're not insane. I'm just going to throw that out there.
For the record, I don't watch anything on a loop. Like the one example I just gave you was Christmas Eve when my daughter was asleep and I was building something, or else everything fell apart. I had to do it.
Yeah, I totally don't watch things on a loop either.
I believe you.
I hope so.
I'm getting ready to watch. I'm getting ready to watch. I'm getting ready to watch Sports Center on a loop now that baseball season's back.
Indeed. It's the worst thing about not having cable. No Sports Center during baseball season.
I believe it.
From former guest host of the podcast, Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Daniel. Let's get you back on the show.
Indeed. A little bit of a setup to this one. Daniel says, "Hey there. On a recent episode, Andy, you said you'd drag your carcass to G.I. Joe Retaliation, though you didn't sound excited. Phil told you not to go, and you said you'd probably buy a ticket anyway, however reluctantly, just for a scene with a mountainside fight. You really didn't sound like you wanted to see the movie, though. So my question for you both. What's the tipping point that makes you want to see a movie? Do you feel obligated to see some just to be part of a pop cultural conversation around it, however brief or despairing that conversation happens to be? Or are you just such buffs for the medium that you'll go to the theater to see something you don't want to see simply because it's a movie? I think about these things a lot, and I'd like to get your input."
This actually goes into what I was saying in the last answer, which is what I'd like to do and what I actually do. Okay. We need to differentiate between you and me here big time.
Mm-hmm.
If I was single and did not have a child, I would have seen G.I. Joe Retaliation. Unquestionably.
Sure.
Unquestionably.
Sure.
I would be seeing a heck of a lot more movies right now.
Yeah.
And I would be happy with it. There would be no regrets. Like, I don't say that in a way that I'm like, oh, Andy, when you have more to do. I'm saying it like, I look at you and your grass looks mighty green, son. Like, I mean, it looks mighty green over there. I know that it's sad to say that because my life is amazing, but I am jealous of the person who went and saw G.I. Joe Retaliation even though he didn't really care to see it.
Sure.
There was a time, my friend, when I saw movies that I didn't care about. The reality is I barely get to see movies that I care about right now. The vast majority of movies I'm seeing now, and I'm still watching more movies than the average American, but the vast majority of movies I'm seeing, I'm watching at home.
Sure.
And like stealing them in the middle of the night or waking up. Dude, wake up early to watch a movie, which is like, I think that's like there should be a 12-step program for that. But yes, yes, I don't get to do that very often. That's the preface to my answer. So what do you want to say?
Well, my answer to Daniel, because he asked several questions like, is it this, is it this, is it this? My answer is yes. It's just yes. I mean, I don't, and I have the sense that Dan realizes that this would be my answer, or this would be our answer, because I think fundamentally we'll have the same answer. There's not one thing that will get me to see a movie.
Right.
The full reason that I saw G.I. Joe Retaliation, because yes, for the mountainside fight, and also I like Channing Tatum, I like The Rock, I like Adrian Palicki, and that's enough for me, right?
You said Adrian Palicki 2 names too late. You should have said her first.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But sometimes it'll be a director. Sometimes it'll be an actor. Sometimes honestly, a well-cut trailer can get me interested enough in a movie to see it. But there are other movies, and this might open up a much larger bag of worms. But for example, one movie that 95% of the reason that I saw it was so that I would be able to partake in the national conversation about it was Passion of the Christ.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it, as a matter of fact, I saw it opening night.
Wow.
Yes, because I wanted to, and I am only going to equate these two movies because I saw it opening night because I wanted to be part of the national conversation about it. Same reason I saw Magic Mike opening night.
Interesting. That's an interesting... That's interesting because I think a lot of people were going to see Passion of the Christ, but not a lot of people were going to see Magic Mike. That's an interesting...
In both movies, in both showings, opening night for both movies, there was not a single empty seat. One of the movies, I was the only sober person there. I will let you guess which one.
It's harder to guess than you would think.
Go with your gut here.
Okay. I will say that I think I saw Les Mis hugely for the sake of cultural conversation. I think that, that one song, like, I wanted to see that song. And I don't even know Les Mis, but the song in the preview that Anne Hathaway won an Oscar for, and by the way, regardless of what anyone says, deserved the Oscar for.
Indeed.
I am not part of the Anne Hathaway backlash. I might be becoming part of the James Franco backlash. I didn't know that was going to happen. We can talk about that in a future podcast. But I am not part of the Anne Hathaway backlash. I think, Daniel, if I had my druthers, the answer is, yeah, of course. I'm just a big enough movie buff that I just want to go to the movies. I love going to the movies. And I will absolutely see things that I don't care about. Although, to be fair, I am more likely to see something I don't care about if I get to go with somebody.
True.
And here's the other thing that's really funny. There's very rarely nothing out that I want to see. Like,
sure.
By and large, there's something I kind of want to see somewhere.
Yeah.
And it will be for all the reasons you said. It could be that someone's in it that I like. It could be that someone wrote it that I cared about. It could be that I heard enough about it. It could be, like, in the case of G.I. Joe, I grew up on G.I. Joe. And Adrian Palicki's in it. And The Rock's in it. And Bruce Willis is in it. Okay, I guess. The last one was so bad.
Yeah.
Also, the trailers, the teasers they were doing that were like Join Cobra.
Yeah.
Did you see those?
Yes, I did.
Were clever enough to make me wonder if the movie was going to be good.
It's not.
I was worried that you would say that.
It's
not worried. But is Bruce Willis in it for more than a minute and a half?
Yeah.
Okay. Not a good movie, though.
No. He does, however, play a better John McClane in this one than he did in Die Hard 5 a few weeks ago.
Stop. Just stop.
Oh.
The less said about that, the better.
No kidding.
Is it better than the first one?
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay. Let's just stop.
Yes. Yes. That was... I can be definitive about that. Yes, it is better than the first one.
Okay. Okay.
Not a hard bar to clear.
Ooh. Okay, next.
That's it. That's our third question.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Andy, today's Friday. You know what that means, right?
Weekend?
Evil Dead?
That's right.
Yes.
Very excited. Are you going to see it? Are you going to see it?
Yeah,
Like,
I have a date with a man, not a woman. My wife would not go see that, so it's not
I,
really a date. Might be a date.
eh.
I'm not gonna hold his hand though. But he might. I might grab onto him during the movie out of sheer
Just to
terror.
say, yeah, you're gonna hold his hand at least once.
I am a total wuss in these movies. Like I jump and scream and shout like a little girl. So it's gonna be really fun to see this movie. I don't know this movie. I don't know what to expect, except I think there's gonna be a lot of me going like this. Oh, 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 oh. Like I think there's gonna be a lot. I think I'm gonna look a lot like the Louisville players reacting to that guy's leg injury. That's what I'm gonna look like for
I
2 hours
can't. Oh
straight.
man. Oh man.
For 2 hours straight.
Horrifying. Every bit of that. Horrifying. Yes. So that brings us to the end of our mailbag. Happy Evil Dead weekend, everybody.
Yes.
And again, that brings us to the end of another week of Second Breakfast.
Yes.
Thanks so much for your questions, Damon, Vanessa, and Daniel. Write in again soon. And again to the entirety of Second Breakfast Nation. secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. We will use your questions on the air because we're just so narcissistic that any sort of attention just lights our fire like you wouldn't believe.
I think it's fun, and I think people like it.
I do too. It
Creates buy-in. It creates buy-in. You're like part of the show, man.
Indeed.
Come on.
We want you invested in the podcast.
Yeah.
And that'll do it. I'm Andy Roth. That's Phil Duvall. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.